Chapter 1. Mundum semper se librat. The universe never fails to balance itself. Its reconciliation mercies no one. It is nature, uninterested in our concerns. 15 years ago, I embarked on a spontaneous journey as though nothing had previously mattered. Prior to leaving my hometown, my juvenile ways boasted my polarizing personality, unsurmountable pride, and circles of friends. Bliss instills more confidence than the hardest liquors, and an impressionable soul is as delicate as a child walking a tightrope. If the winds of life cause him to stumble, drops of bliss spill from the bottle. Clutching a nearly empty bottle of whiskey on the ocean pier, I could no longer point to an identity. All inspiration evaporated. Lack of confidence left me vulnerable to self-hatred, criticism, and indebtedness to the universe, so I let go. We all have different realities, and though mine may have been further skewed from those of others, it was my only option. Yellow and blue lights flickered across the pitch-black water from the skyline of San Diego, the city that hosted my most significant memories. Although it grew difficult to determine which were real and which were fabricated ever since she was taken from me. At very least, pain and suffering were water under the bridge, just like the water that flowed along my dangling bare feet. The blue satanic figure that once haunted me had been eradicated from my blood, which made me laugh at the idea that he ever circulated through it in the first place. Laughing at ourselves is a powerful notion. We could laugh about what we have, about what we don't. It is inclusive to all. Rolling waves splashed chilly water onto my legs, spurring goosebumps to climb them. The core-warming bourbon countered the frigid temperatures. These waves, they spoke to the ups and downs that we endure. My life had always gravitated to one extreme or the other, never mastering the balance that kept normal people intact. It made a man wonder how we could push through the days with these waves crashing down and their shadows of looming liability. My shrink would contest that we should try because it's worth it. Maria was right, depending on what it is. If it was her, there would be no debating, but that ship had unfortunately sailed. She left me with a void that I had to fill on my own without the help of an instruction manual. My sense of spatial orientation screamed at me from the time that she went missing from my side. It was unclear why I felt the need to fill the void so badly, especially since she was such a dangerous threat to me. My own self-sabotaging acts were to blame for inclining her peril towards me, however. It stood as a classic example of behaving willfully ignorant and reaping the repercussions. The universe would never allow it to go unchecked. Like the waves, there is a balance to everything. Karma, yin-yang. In a way, it allows us to know what will happen before it ever happens. Once the energies of our demonstrations are released into the universe, it is only a matter of time before they bounce back. Not only did the sweet bourbon taste delicious, it helped tune out the universe's disapproval that it mailed back to me with red stamps of rejection. It felt good being the man who didn't need approval, not needing to be anybody. Long hair ran down the sides of my head, smashed under a fisherman cap. The greasy locks provided essential oils to keep my hands hydrated. Wouldn't want them to crack in the dry weather. A spongy brown beard extended to my sternum. She would have been mostly upset about the dark streaks under my eyes, which indicated that I hadn't been sleeping enough. For her, well-being came before appearance. What a peach. If my boss Doug called me to return to work, I would have to undergo a makeover in order to look professional. Being a highly regarded member in the space exploration industry carried the responsibility of looking the part, but I had been working from home for a while, so fuck it. A belt tightened the loose pants around my undernourished waist, important for keeping the pistol tucked tightly in the back. It would come in handy if the aliens didn't rescue me from my situation. Something like that. The evening arrangement had me buzzing harder than any pill that I had ever taken, the hype of which only exasperated my instability. It was the most critical meeting of my life, involving both strangers and key individuals from my past. An odd man would soon arrive by boat to take me on an expensive trip. The backpack on my shoulders weighed around 10 pounds, cash accounting for half of it. Most people would never even suspect the type of operation to exist. It felt disgraceful to become entangled into it, but seemed like the right thing to do. Patiently waiting, I strained my eyes to see deep into the horizon, but darkness made it impossible to distinguish it from the inky ocean. The waning crescent moon didn't expel enough light to offer the visibility that I needed. The nature of the business made it seem as though it would be impossible for the man to flake, but time continued to pass without any action. I grew itchy. Drunk boredom tempted me to return to my 3-floor loft that jutted downtown a few blocks in from the pier. It told stories literally, as its heightened position overlooked much of the city. It was entertaining to see the reactions of those that toured around the place. I liked to study their emotions. Feeling fancy would make their eyes sparkle. Luxuries of life drive people to do more than they ever need to. But they were hurried, distracted by chasing their dreams, as hard work and dedication would afford them objects and status. They could then validate themselves with the metal watch and a car with some new feature. This would be good for the self-esteem, making them want to keep their eyes fixated on their mirrors. Look at me and what I did. I'm special and useful. Shut the fuck up, I thought. The behavior seemed more prevalent in a city such as San Diego because opportunities swarmed the environment, making everyone pine to snag one. However, like the universe, the opportunities seemed to choose the person, not the other way around. The odds weren't really in anyone's favor. They definitely weren't in my favor. After all, I was just Nathan Mark from Menton. The San Diego locals saw me as an edgy man, but no, I was simply another person from where I'm from. A place that builds character, because without it, there wouldn't be anything else. A place where depression is just a word for being too weak to face reality or to deal with it. Besides, that's what benzos are for. Only a doctor and a prescription needed.